Hello dear friends, welcome to our new video. My name is Milena, and the topic for today is something that will be useful for both women and men. We will discuss why we have so few women in top leadership positions and what we can do about that. There are several reasons and several perspectives I want to share in this video that inspired me to create it in the first place. My own personal example and stories of many millennial women that I encountered and that I interact with from different geographies show to me that at certain point of our careers we face glass ceiling and we don't feel that we can move to the next level without being very strategic. And the experience of those women and also senior women that I interacted with show to me that it's important to discuss these topics. Also, I'm very privileged to have many wonderful male colleagues and friends in my life, and whenever we discuss business opportunities and different collaboration options, at certain point we touch upon the topic that we are very passionate about, that is work-life balance. And on the topic of importance of a good relationship comes out, and the story that their notion, their confession in a way, that when women that they do what they can to empower women, and that it matters to them in their lives when they have a strong partner next to them, and when a woman they love is ambitious and helps them also grow. So the first point I want to make from drawing on these three groups, the group of millennial women, the group of senior women in top positions, and the group of our male colleagues and friends and partners, is that when we empower women, we empower the entire society. And without further ado, I would like to share one of the first prejudices we have about women on top. It all starts very early in the childhood, because although we all live in the 21st century, for some of us, parenthood, the way we were raised, the way our parents raised us and our siblings was not the same. And one of the reasons why we have few women in STEM, few women in top investment banking, consulting, is not their intellectual capabilities. It is the environment. It is daily inputs they were exposed to or not exposed to. If you're a girl and you're constantly being told that you should not try something, that it's dangerous, that you should pay attention, you should protect yourself, whereas your male siblings are encouraged and praised for all adventures they make, soon as a lady you learn that taking risk is unnecessary and dangerous, and that you actually end up being constantly contradicted and in a certain way of collision with other people. So better not, as we say in Serbia, make waves. Why would you do that? I actually owe a special thanks to one fantastic woman I met in Berlin, Mali Baum. If you're watching this, thank you for everything you're doing for female ecosystem worldwide. And Mali is an accomplished businesswoman who created successful toy brand and plenty of kids brands in Europe, in Israel, her homeland, and especially in Germany, where she lives now, and in China. And also as accomplished mother, she realized it is her responsibility to help women, and she creates VC funds that will empower women to pursue their business. And recently I had a chance to interact with her on several panels and events she organized with plenty of accomplished women, and the level of that discussion was superb. And one of the points that panelists made during that event was, very early women learn their limits, and the reason why we have so few women in business and in VC industry is that in the history we considered men to be the ones who do business. We consider men to be the ones who have money. I was lucky enough to grow up in a family where I was taught since very early age that it is a part of women's strength, and it's kind of our part of our power, you know, as fairies have powers, so women have as well. If I'm somebody who is taking charge of my career, and if I'm somebody who earns, who is not dependent on my future partner. And I think that Matthew Hussein, a fantastic relationship coach, actually shares in one of his videos, when a woman says that she can do everything alone, I agree with him, that there's a fine line among things we can do. If a woman says, I can do everything, I can do it alone, there are several ways, you know, there are several stages of growth, as Matthew says. One of them is that a woman is needy, and a woman says, well, can you help me? I cannot do it. Oh, and woman whines and complains. And many men who are watching this may notice some unsuccessful relationships where women will constantly giving high demands on them, and they were feeling like they are, you know, that women play victims. So that's the first level. The second level is when a woman says, I can do it on my own. And very often this attitude if it has arrogance, and if it has level, you know, certain negative emotion, and it's kind of creating barriers instead of showing that woman knows how to respect herself, and that woman is, you know, competent, actually is contradictory, and it has counter effects, right? And the level above, as Matthew says, is when a woman says, I can do it on my own. I know how worth I am, but I know that it's much more fun if we do it together, or if you help me out. So this kind of attitude is something that women need to learn in relationships, in business, and in family. We are very early taught that we shouldn't show our weakness, and it's actually a sign of weakness if we ask for help, or sometimes we are trained to think that we are princesses who need to be saved. So all of these beliefs are wrong, and if you grew up in an environment where you kind of thought all the time that you're special, and now you feel that things don't work out for you the way you would, maybe it's time to reconsider those beliefs and move to some other behaviors, new behaviors that will be more useful to you. And the way to do that is by kind of asking yourself, what are you doing that doesn't do any justice to you more? It doesn't help you anymore, right? Like the shadow behind me on this video, there are situations that creep upon us. They kind of create certain friction, and we need to move on from that. Another fact that another challenge this woman faced that I want to draw your attention to is that we are not very often given resources and opportunities to thrive in the environment, and our male colleagues have that chance. At Mali's panel, we heard superior women, I mean, we are all superior, but women in top positions who are like superwomen with the amount of tough decisions they make on a daily basis. They told me and on other participants that, believe it or not, even in their level, they get interrupted in meetings. They have situations where a male colleague, they speak in the meeting, right? And a male colleague, and their idea probably goes unnoticed. And then a male colleague kind of repeats pretty much in the same way, exactly the same idea. And the entire boardroom kind of almost applauds. It says, yeah, that's a great job. We should do that. And I think, and we also reached a conclusion at the event, the reason why that happens is because women don't actually, we don't pay attention to those little things, and we don't get this red signal when it happens. We don't turn on that light and say, listen, it's not right. It's not about making a conflict right, or emphasizing something in a bad way. It's more about bringing that understanding of a situation to ourselves and saying to ourselves, okay, well, I should definitely do something about it, and I should react to this in a certain way so that it doesn't repeat, right? And as women, we are inclined to doubt ourselves very often. I was once doing a little experiment in my environment, and I would meet wonderful, female friends, and we interacted. And at some point, maybe I will give a compliment for their work, or we will discuss some of their recent successes. And when there comes the praise, right? Good things to hear. And almost all women actually said, well, it's nothing, it's not something special. Well, usually I don't look that good. Well, this is something I bought it's not that, it doesn't seem so quality, blah, blah, blah. So it didn't matter actually if we are discussing business, if we're discussing career achievement, if we're discussing appearance, if we are discussing the special energy and charisma of a lady in a particular situation. So I think this tells us a lot about the way we are brought up and the way we kind of position ourselves, not only in our friendly encounters, but also in our business arena. And when I heard those things, I told my ladies, my friends, well, can you imagine that your colleague or your family member who is a male would actually respond in that way? Not at all. And this is something we should definitely pay attention to, because those little things make a difference, right? Third thing that I want to draw your attention to is there is the gap in skills that women have in many circumstances. I'm not speaking about the situation where we, let's say, have a woman programmer in a career in a company who wants to make it to the CTO position, and there are male colleagues, and they have pretty much equal chances of succeeding. I'm talking about the situation where we, let's say in management, notice that there is excellent talent, a man and woman, and we expose them to different learning opportunities. There was a TED talk. Unfortunately, I forgot the exact name of a lady who spoke about that. That in that TED talk, she explained that there are three kinds of skills that we need to have in order to make it to the top position. One of them is technical knowledge. If you are in public relations, obviously the ability to communicate. If you are in programming, pretty much high-level technical skills. If you are in sales, ability to make influence and to communicate effectively, etc., etc. And there is the second category of skills, which is called soft skills, which is more about our demeanor and the way we position ourselves, how we present ourselves. And then there is the third kind of skills, which is the ability to make strategic decisions and the ability to influence agenda and to take risk and to have a certain overview of financial opportunities, everything basically that people in top positions do. And the challenge that we have is that so many times we will give a man an opportunity to plunge into the third category of skills, and we will train them. We will take them to meetings. We will take them to, after drinks, where he will discuss situations with colleagues. We will create certain kind of environment where that guy can succeed. Whereas when it comes to mentorship opportunities for women, very often we will tell them, well, you should work on your presentation skills. You should speak up more often. And we actually don't expose women to financial opportunities to test their financial knowledge, opportunities to take risk, opportunities to lead the team, to make decisions that are very tough, and men are encouraged to do that. That's one challenge. The second challenge is pay gap, and that women very often don't negotiate and think that somebody will remember how amazing they are and give them like what they should earn, the amount of money they think they should earn. And it all affects the entire ecosystem, because if a woman is not satisfied in her career and she cares about that, she comes home, she has family, and it's quite challenging for her to kind of feel good about herself, and it affects her relationship, and it affects in a way her partnership, and in a larger scale her society. And one of the important things that we all should learn, is to be able to delegate things and be able to come to terms to accept the fact that we cannot be perfect in everything. Only in advertising for, cornfields, for cornflakes and cereals, and for cars and for vacations, we see women that manage to have lovely family at breakfast, and to be perfectly tanned and with amazing makeup and haircuts, and to be fantastic in the gym, and to be fantastic in career without making a single mistake. All of you who have read success stories of people who made really big things, who created also technology that we now use, know that those people were able to do many things much faster than majority of people, and as a result they made many mistakes. If we as women are paralyzed constantly by what other people will say, how we will respond, what will happen, will we make a mistake, nothing's gonna work out. So that's extremely important to pay attention to, because that's the way we get to have a bigger financial freedom and more satisfaction in our business and in our personal life, and not to mention to preserve our health and sanity. We as women, because we were very early taught how to nurture other people, how to take care, because many of us played more often with dolls than with robots. Yeah, and this brings us to the fact why we have so few women in sciences. We then realized that, okay, we learn how to coordinate things, and if you look at the teams that are led by women and that are led by men, it is obvious that men are more competitive. It's about winning. It's about nailing it. And a man, if you ask a man, very interesting thing, if you ask a man, how are you doing? The man will say, well, I closed this big deal, which is this amount of money. And a woman will say, well, I'm great, how are you? So we are more inclined very often, we're more inclined to work in synergies and to kind of think about the interests of other people rather than our own. And I encourage you, not only if you're a woman, but I encourage all of you who watch this to take some time when you reach the end of this video, and you get down to write certain things. You can write all the roles you have in your life. Sorry, either being a sibling, a parent, daughter or son, a lover, business person, having several roles, several projects that you work on. Maybe you're doing cleaning, maybe you're doing cooking. All of these roles are important. Recently there was an article about women being fed up with the fact that their invisible work is not seen. And it means that we spend so much time in household doing things that people don't notice. And actually I started paying attention to, not when I started living on my own, I did that ever since I was 19, but when I was thinking about, recently 2 years ago, about better optimization of my time and higher productivity. And I realized when it comes to preparing meals, there are several steps to do that. When it comes to cleaning, you want to do it at the same time, maybe as you do, doing laundry. When it comes to cooking, you do dishes from previous meals, and in that way, we as women who are very heavily involved in household usually try to multiply ourselves and multiply our effort. But what happens very often that when people start living together, all this invisible work becomes taken for granted, and women get fed up because people don't notice that socks are on the floor and things are not clean, and something they're doing other people cannot repeat. So we really need to be clear with the instructions we give to people we live with, and to actually explain to them why it matters to us, because if they don't help, nothing's gonna work. And in the same way as vehicles work, in the same ways as buses work, so it happens to family. And with this thought of empowerment of women, I would like to give you my final remark. At the panel we listened to, one of the colleagues said one of the reasons why we also don't have so many women in leadership positions is because women are busy doing the work of men who are CEOs and who, of course, make plenty of tough and strategic decisions. But at the same time, those women are doing plethora of administrative work, and they're doing work of CEO without ever becoming CEOs. So pay attention to that. It's perfectly okay that at some point of your life, you feel that for the time being, it's okay. You're becoming CEO of your own life. You're in charge of your destiny, but you're satisfied with a certain amount of money you earn, with a certain status, with certain lifestyle. Maybe you want to work in a very flexible environment. Maybe you want to dedicate yourself to kids. But pay attention also to those things that Sheryl Sandberg talks about in her book, Lean In, where she says how during her student days, she and her female friend were kind of constantly overthinking whether they're ready for the exam, whereas her brother would always nail it without a single hint of doubt. And at the same time, as women, we very often underestimate our effort and very often put interests of other people in front instead of prioritizing ourselves. So it's not a sign of being a bad mother or a bad partner or a bad friend or sister if you actually set aside first thing in the morning some time for yourself, and if you give yourself freedom to do things you love, because by becoming strong and becoming in tune with who we are, and by being in tune with our feminine energy of creativity, strength, and kindness, we become actually role models for future generation of women. Thank you.